Ralph! Oh my gosh. I was out exploring and they started without me. Can you believe that? Wait till you see the fun we're gonna have today. I got my explorer's pack. Whew. It is hot today. I'm gonna take a drink of my water. That's why you always need some water with you when you're exploring. The summertime, some of these days get really hot and steamy. All right, I can't wait to show you what I have in here for our outdoor adventure. But first, I gotta pull out my book. And then we can get ready. Are you guys, well, we know they're ready because they tried to start without me. Ralph, Magic Monkey, Daisy's here, and our Pig of Joy with her jar. All ready for our summer reading Explorer's Adventure number 3. This is an exciting day. Let's gather everyone round. Everybody ready? Let's get ready for our story. Let's turn up our ears so we're ready to listen. Let's turn off our mouths so we don't make a sound. Put your hands quietly in your lap. Take a nice big deep breath. Now we're ready for our story. Sitting in the shade of our big old dawn redwood tree. If you are outside today, make sure you stay in the shade. It is hot. Today's book is called It's My Turn, Smudge. This must be Smudge. Our author is Miriam Moss, and our illustrator is Lynn Chapman. It's my turn, Smudge. Wow, look at that. Smudge and Goose were looking for water snails. Splash! Something jumped into the river. What was that? Asked Smudge. Goose stuck her head under the water to look. A frog, she said, popping up again. There it goes. Smudge peered at the water. Let's see, can we see our frog? I don't see the frog. Do you see the frog? Nope, I see the water snail though, right there. He swam away too quickly. Stripe, said Smudge at lunchtime. Goose can see all the river animals that live underwater. It's not fair. I wish I could. Well, let's make a net, said Stripe. Then you can catch the animals and put them in a jar and look at them. Good idea, Stripe. Together, Smudge and Stripe made a lovely net. Wait till my friends see this, said Smudge. And here's a jar to collect the animals in, smiled Stripe. Just make sure you put them back where you found them afterwards. They must have been lucky because they had some netting here and they taped it around this pole. Smudge dipped her net into the river. Out came a small brown leaf with a water snail stuck to it. She plopped both into the jar. Hare arrived. What's in there? He asked. A water snail, said Smudge. I caught it with my new net. Hare looked at the net. Hey, may I have a go? You can after I've caught a little silverfish, said Smudge, dipping her net into the water. She's trying to find all sorts of creatures. Hare waited for his turn, watching the snail slide slowly about the jar, when Mole arrived. Hello, Hare. Hello, Smudge, said Snail. What are you doing? She's dipping, said Hare, with her new net. Mole looked at the net. May I have a go? He asked. After I've caught a little silverfish, said Smudge. Actually, it's my turn next, Mole, said Hare. Oh, said Mole, and he sat down to wait, too. So now there's two friends waiting their turn. Smudge dipped and dipped. Hare and Mole waited and waited. "Come on, Smudge," said Hare after a while. "It's our turn now." "I haven't caught a little silver fish yet," said Smudge stubbornly. "Anyway, it's my net." Uh-oh. Hare and Mole watched Smudge for a bit longer, but then they got tired of waiting and they wandered off. Smudge didn't notice them go. She was enjoying herself. She caught lots of pond skaters, diving beetles, and shrimps. But there was still no little silver fish. See, look, she put them all in her jar. She really found a lot of critters. Suddenly, Smudge heard laughter coming from upstream. Something's going on over there. "Try again, Goose," laughed Hare. Goose dipped upside down. "Oh, look," cried Mole, nearly toppling into the river with excitement. "She's got one." Goose bobbed up with a little silverfish in her beak. "Put it in here, Goose," shouted Hare, holding out a jar. So now her friends have moved along, and it looks like they're using some teamwork instead of just one person taking a turn at a time. Smudge watched the three friends crowd around the jar. Suddenly, she felt terribly left out. "I wish I'd let the others have a go with my net," she thought miserably. "Then we'd all be fishing here together." Smudge gave up dipping. She sat staring at the animals in her jar, listening to the others having fun upstream. Then suddenly, she had an idea. What do you think her idea is? Maybe. Let's find out. Smudge walked up the river to her friends. "Would you like to put my river animals with yours?" she asked. "Oh, thanks," said Mole. "Great," said Hare. "Goose, did you hear that?" Everybody laughed as Goose popped up with a fish on her head. Just then Stripe arrived with ice cream treats for everyone. What a nice way to cool off. "Would you all like to have a go with my new net?" Smudge asked. "Sure," said Hare, finishing his ice cream. Smudge handed him the net. "You go first, Hare," she said. The end. What lesson do you think Smudge learned? Right, that sometimes if you share, you can even have more fun. She wasn't really being mean. I don't think she was paying attention to how her friends were feeling when they were waiting so patiently for their turn. So then she ended up feeling left out because they went off and had fun doing something else since she didn't seem to want to share. That's a good thing to remember. Sometimes we don't think about how other people are feeling when we are doing something. Even though we're enjoying ourselves, we leave some people out. So think about that next time, even if it's your pesky little brother or sister who wants to play the game that you're playing. Think of how they might feel if they're not allowed to join in, right? Well, what do you think about the exploring that they did today? They were in a river, dipping a net, looking for different creatures that live in the river. Well, my house isn't by a river. I mean, I'm near a river. I could drive to a river, but I don't have a river in my backyard, and probably most of you don't either. So that can't be our exploring adventure. Let's take a look in our explorer's pack and see just what might be in store for us today. Oh, this is big. Ooh, a little shovel called a spade. What else? Ooh. Whoa, what is that? A jar with a giant feather sticking out. So this is what I was doing when my friends tried to start the story without me. I was digging in the soil, or the dirt, you could call it, around my yard and seeing what kind of creatures I could find. Well, look at this big feather I found in the yard. This was just lying in the grass, and it is from a blue heron. They're very large. Their legs are really long. They're probably as tall as me. Now, I didn't see them. Sometimes I see them flying overhead because there's two ponds. My house is kind of between two big ponds. One's that way and one's that way. So he must have been flying overhead and lost a feather. That was a really cool find. Look how big it is, right? It's taller than my head. So that was neat. So then what I did was I went digging. Now, if you're gonna go digging in your yard, you have to ask where you are allowed to dig. You cannot dig up plants. You don't want to dig where it's going to disturb things that maybe seeds that you just planted that are waiting to grow, or new things that are growing. So ask someone. Usually some good places to dig are under trees. Remember our magic tree that I was under the first adventure we went on? I dug under that tree. I also dug kind of along the fence. I tried to dig in the shade because I was trying to find a worm. So here's my jar. There's dirt in there. There is some grass in there. There are some seed pods, if you really look closely. Those are from a tree. And there was a teeny tiny spider. I don't know if we'll be able to see him on camera or if we can see him right now. And I also caught an ant and I put him in there. But guess what? Because I have a hole in the top of my jar. Because you don't want the creatures to die while they're in there. You're going to put them back where you found them. He crawled out. Can you believe that? But that was okay. It was really fun to watch though. I put him in there and he crawled up, and it took him a long time. He crawled around and around and around until he figured out how to get out the top. So that was a really good observation. When you are an explorer, you're observing the world around you. That means you're looking closely and just watching to see what happens. If you observe something, you're watching very closely. So after you get your jar, if you can find a few bugs. Now, I tried to find a worm. That was my goal. I wanted to find a worm so I could show you in my jar. I think it's too hot. I think it's too dry. I think we need some rain before the worms come out. So I might have to look on another day. But I challenge you to see if you can look. Now, worms are usually in dirt that is moist, like it has some water in it. Kind of looks darker than really dry dirt. Sometimes you have to dig down a little bit to see it. But I don't have one in here, so I couldn't find it. Another fun thing to do is once you have some things in there, put it on its side, because it will help you observe, and maybe you'll find things you didn't even know were in there when you first dug. Like, look, there's that little seed pod, see it? That's not something I planted. That came off one of the plants that's already growing in the yard. That's pretty cool. Well, then I thought, there is something else I can use a jar to observe some things in my yard. I have a little pond. So I got another jar and I got some pond water. Now you see, pond water isn't filtered, so it's not as clear. This pond water is a little bit yellowish. And while I scooped out my pond water, I got this nice little leaf that came off of a lily plant that's in our pond. And then, I don't know how much you can see, but there are some little specks in my water to observe. But I didn't find, let me look down there. I didn't find any pond bugs on the surface or anything today. I just think being a very hot day, it's harder to find some creatures. But I challenge you, go in the shade, go in the shady spots. Maybe you'll find a cricket, maybe you'll find beetles, maybe you'll find pill bugs. Now, if you're very adventurous, you can try to just pick them up with the dirt, put them in your jar. You have a shovel, you could use that. Or if you don't want to get dirty and you don't want to dig through, Use your eyes. Be an observer. Just pick a spot, sit quietly, and watch the ground around you. You'll be amazed that if you really look closely, even in your grass, the kind of creatures, bugs, some birds might come swooping down close if you're very still. Observe the things that you can see around you, but you have to lie or sit very quietly because the creatures will be scared if you're being very loud. So it's a good thing to do on a very hot day when you're tired of running and you need a rest. Take a break in the shade, lie on a blanket, on a towel, and observe the dirt around you, the grass, see what you can find. I'll be curious to know what you find in your jars. Now, lastly, it's very important. If you find any creatures, after you have observed them, dump it back out. Put it back where you found it so those animals can go and live their lives like they're supposed to. And usually the kind of bugs you find in your dirt, we need them there. All right? We need them in order for our plants to grow and our soil to stay nice and nutrient for our plants to grow. All right, so put your creatures back. Don't keep them in the jar. That's not very nice. But it is a good way to observe. That's our word for the day. What do you say, Joy? Are you ready to spread some joy? I know I am. Let's see. Ooh. I didn't want to drop the lid off. Let's see how we can spread some joy today. Okay? Here we go. Today we are going to, this is Tino's idea. This is a great one. Tino says, share a happy memory. Share a happy memory. That sure is going to spread some joy because when you remember something, a memory is something you remember from your past, something that happened before today. So let me share a happy memory about school. Oh, I have a good one because I was just at school yesterday and I have to clean up a lot of things in order to get ready for next year. And I was cleaning my door because some things were coming off. When it gets hot, the tape doesn't always hold. And my door was decorated beautifully. Oh, Magic Monkey, did you see that? Let me rescue him. He got blown right off. I'll hold him. So my happy memory is, I remembered this as I was taking these things off of my door. There was a thing we had called Creation Station in the library. If we earned it, we got to do it once a month. And all of you students got to make some really amazing things. Well, Mrs. Burns' class was there one day, and Daniel and William decided they were going to decorate my door. I said, okay, that's fine. But you know what the amazing part about that was? They made sure, because other kids wanted to join in, but we couldn't have everybody in the hallway. They made sure that the things that the kids made in the library got put on the door. And they went through and checked to make sure every student in their class had a piece of their art on my door. Wasn't that so kind of them? They didn't want to leave anybody out, even though it was their idea and they were doing a really good job on their own. Instead of saying, no way, they said, sure, make us something and we'll put it on the door. And I had all those happy memories as I was taking some of those things down yesterday at the library. That's my happy memory for today. I'll share some happy memories maybe with my family later. You can share happy memories with the people that you live with. Maybe it'll even make you laugh because it could be something funny and silly that happened. Thank you, Tino. That was a great way for spreading our joy. That was amazing. Remember, if you have ideas, send them to me and I'll add them to our jar. We have one more thing to do before we go out and spread our joy. We need to fill out our summer reading adventure log because we just completed another reading adventure. And you know what? Today I'm feeling pretty happy. So as I fill out my stamp, I'm going to make a happy, smiley face. Look at that. 1, 2, 3 adventures already done. This summer is gonna fly right by. Okay, my friends, remember it is hot, so stay hydrated. That means drink plenty of water. If you're an adventurer, ask before you dig, and go spread some joy by sharing your happy memories. I will see you back here on Thursday. Until then, keep spreading your joy.